Hi everyone, Elsie Jensen here. Today we are going to make a steak salad with homemade dressing, a fruit, like a citrus salad, and some lemon doodles, which is the kind of a twist on a snickerdoodle, but with lemon. So let's start by getting our lemon doodles ready. We're gonna put in 1 cup of butter, which is equal to 2 sticks. And you want room temperature butter because it will cream much nicer for this. So I'm gonna add those into my bowl. And then we're gonna add in 1 1/3 cup of sugar and 1/3 cup of brown sugar. And we're gonna cream these two together. So let's get my granulated sugar out. So we've got 1, and then we're gonna add in 1/3 more. And then we're gonna add in 1/3 cup of brown sugar. Go. And now we're gonna cream the butter into the sugars. So I'm gonna use a hand mixer today because it will work a little bit easier than just doing it with your hands. You could also do this on a stand mixer as well. Okay, so I'm gonna get these creaming. And I will say, room temperature works much better than cold butter. Cold butter takes a lot more to cream it up. And I will say if you're gonna use cold butter, I would do the cold butter in a stand mixer because it will go flying in with your hand mixer. Trying to make sure get all of these big clumps of butter mixed into the sugar. Now it's starting to incorporate well. Let me turn up my speed just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we've got a good start to our creaming. Now we're gonna start adding in some of our liquid ingredients, and then we'll finish off with our dry. So, I've got my sourdough discard here, so we're gonna use a 1/2 cup of our sourdough discard. And here we go. So we've got a 1/2 cup of our sourdough discard, and we're gonna add this into our mixture. And then we are going to add in 1 egg plus 1 yolk. So we've got 1 egg and then 1 yolk. And this is gonna give you a richer batter. So I'm going to just crack this over and then we'll grab out my yolk here. I'm gonna let my egg white kind of drip down. There we go. So now I've got my 1 yolk. We're gonna add it in here. I'm done with this. I'm gonna give my hands a quick rinse. But that gives you just a richer cookie versus, and it's not as wet as well. So we're gonna mix these in and cream these into our butters and our sugar.
Jane just sent you a funny little GIF. I'll show it after.
Oh, well, thank you, Jane. We appreciate that a lot. Okay, let's get this mixed up well. There. Okay. So I've got my egg and my yolk, or my yolk and my egg mixed in there. Now we are going to do lemon zest and lemon juice. So you want about 1 zest from a lemon. So we're gonna zest this all in here. And this is gonna give our lemon doodles their really bright lemon flavor. We're also gonna infuse some sugar to roll it in with lemon zest to give you even more of a zing. But the lemon zest is key to really getting the lemon flavor to come out. We will use some fresh lemon juice as well, but the zest is key, and fresh lemon zest. So you're gonna want about a tablespoon of lemon zest, which is roughly 1 whole lemon zested up. Try just to get the yellow part, don't go too deep, and get the white part because the white is more riney tasting and less of that fragrant lemon. and it doesn't give you a nice pop of color. So we're gonna zest. I've almost got this whole lemon in here. And then we're gonna juice it. But again, the lemon zest is that key to getting that really bright lemon flavor out. We're gonna shake that in here. Let me grab a quick knife. And we're going to cut our lemon in half and we're gonna juice it. We want about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice for our lemon doodles. And then we'll go work on our steak salad. We're gonna make a homemade dressing and then a citrus dressing for our fruit salad. So this is a pretty juicy lemon, as you can see. This would probably make a whole glass of lemonade. So we just need 1/2 because we've got a lot of lemon juice out of it. You don't want to add more because then it's going to mess with the consistency of your cookie dough. So really just add that tablespoon for it. Let's mix these in. This is going to give our cookies a lovely lemon flavor. And mix it up real good. And now we are going to add in our baking soda, salt, and cream of tartar. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So we've got our 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, there we go, and 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar. Some places it goes by the name alum, so it's the same thing. We're gonna mix this in here, and this is a thickener, so these are gonna help our cookies keep their shape. It wants to come out. There we go. So we got 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt. We're gonna mix it up, and then we'll be ready for our flour. So we're gonna make sure we get this mixed in well. Get that baking soda dispersed completely through the wet mixture so that our cookies will rise well and evenly. There we go. Perfect. Now we're gonna add in 2½ cups of flour. And we're just gonna use all-purpose flour for this. My oven is preheated to 400 degrees, so these cookies will cook at 400 degrees for about 9 minutes, and then they'll be ready to come out. So we've got 2, and we're gonna do 2½ cups of flour. So that's 2. Now, need about a ½ cup. There we go. Put this over here. We're gonna give this a nice blend until it comes together into a nice kind of thicker batter. It will be slightly sticky to touch, but it won't be overly sticky that you can't roll it. There we go. Mix this around. Now you can see we're really getting our dough is coming together lovely. Okay. Perfect. So we are done mixing up our dough here. I'm gonna give a nice shake out. Don't want any of our cookies to go to waste, especially because these are gonna go a nice treat with our steak salad. We wanted a little bit leaner fare today. We've got a couple basketball games and soccer in a little bit. So a light lunch for today. Okay. We've got our dough made up. Now we are going to make our lemon sugar that we're gonna roll it into. So we're gonna start with just about a ½ cup of sugar. I always put a little bit more because I don't like to run out of sugar with my rolling process. And so snickerdoodles typically have cinnamon mixed in. We're gonna do lemon zest. And this is going to give you a great flavor on the cookie, more of that lemon zing. So we're gonna zest it up here, and then we're gonna use our fingers to kind of mix that zest in. You don't wanna use lemon juice in here because then you won't have a dry sugar to roll it up into. So just the lemon zest. And this will really have a nice fragrant flavor that will really be popping on our cookies. And I feel like it's such a, I made snickerdoodles the other day, which is a family favorite. And then I got a comment about a lemon sugar cookie. And I was like, you know what? I can adapt my my snickerdoodle recipe to make a lemon doodle, which will give you kind of like a lemon sugar cookie to it. So we'll be getting all of this zest in here. There you go. You want about a whole lemon zest in here so that you're gonna have a nice little fragrant bit to it. And now you're just gonna go in here with your fingers and really rub the lemon zest through the sugar. And as you can see, it's turning my sugar like a nice, lovely yellow color. And this is gonna have so much flavor when we roll our little snickerdoodles in, or lemon doodles. It's like a dog, you have poodles and you have doodles. Now you can have snickerdoodles and lemon doodles. Okay, we've got our infused sugar here. We're gonna take a ball, just like the other day, about the size of a gumball, I think makes the perfect one. Then we're gonna roll it in our lemon sugar. Now the dough is sticky when you touch it, but when you roll it, it works just well. My dog is going crazy. He's got the zoomies behind us. It's hilarious. He's like running back and forth. I feel like we have a little King Charles Cavalier Spaniel, or whatever, I messed up saying it. But they get the zoomies and it's hilarious. And when they get them, they like run around the house going crazy back in the room, and that's what he's doing right now. It's hilarious. Okay, we've got our lemon doodles up. And we're gonna give it, these will bake at 400 degrees for 9 minutes. I'm just gonna do, I think I did 5 rows of 3, because if you don't want them too close together, or they do spread out and drop a little bit. So you want them to not come together and make multiple cookies. Okay. Now the dog is snorting. It's hilarious. Loki Bear, don't be so crazy. Okay. And we're gonna get this. Loki. Oh, he just wants to run around and zoom. Okay. Few more, then we're gonna work on our steak salad. We're gonna marinate. I've got some ribeyes, or not ribeyes, New York strips that we're going to cook up. And we'll saute them with a garlic butter, and then we're gonna make a lovely homemade dressing, and it will be just delicious.
You got a question? How old is Loki?
Loki he just turned 4. So I actually got him like 1 month after I gave birth to Teddy. Do not recommend getting a puppy after giving birth to a baby. But he's 4 years old. He was born on April 15th. I remember his birthday because it's tax day. There we go. Okay, 1 more, and then we're gonna wash our hands, and we'll pop these in the oven for 9 minutes. Okay, let me get my hands washed up real quick. And let's pop these in the oven for our lemon noodles. Okay. So I have my oven set at 400. I'm gonna pop them in here on the top, and then we are going to let them cook for 9 minutes. So I'm gonna set my timer for 9 minutes. I will say, use your timer. I feel like so many people take their cookies out too late. I always like them when they're just, they look a smidge underdone, and you're like, oh, they're not golden brown enough. Take them out. Because if you wait till they get really golden brown, then they're not gonna be good. Okay, let's get our steak prepped for our things. So we're gonna kind of give a little seasonings on it, let it marinate for a few seconds, and then we will cook that up, and then we'll make our salad and our homemade salad dressing. So I have New York strips here. Because I'm not doing these on a grill, I'm going to take off this just big fatty strip because it will only be rubbery in our skillet. A skillet can't cook it quite at the high enough heat for it to crisp up nicely. So just take that strip off of fat and it will work beautifully. Here we go. And it's gonna be chewy too. So I've got this long strip of fat and here we go. Loki, look, Elena's gonna take you out for a walk. Okay, so we're gonna do Loki get a little walk because he's got the zoomy zooms. And now we're going to slice it up nice and thin. We're gonna saute them, but I'm looking for about pieces about this thick because I want it to crisp up nicely, but still have a nice tender middle to it. And so we'll sear them up, and that's why you kind of want to cut them thin, but not too thin. If you cut them too thin, then they'll get really tough really fast. So this is about the best size. Okay, I think Loki will be happy now going on his walk. It's funny, my other Cavi that I have is passed out snoring very loudly on the other side of the room, not disturbed by Loki's craziness. Okay, let's get these sliced up. Then we'll get them in a kind of a quick little marinade, just a light seasoning on them, and then we're gonna fry them up with a kind of a garlic butter. Give a nice infusion of flavors. Here we go. And I've got my cleaver, which I will say is much easier to cut through meat than with your regular chef knife. So I highly recommend if you do a lot of meat prep, this is one of those that I recommend investing in because it makes chopping up your meat so much easier. It's like, I'll buy chuck roast and I'll chop it up for stew. Lamb roast, a lot of times I don't just do like a leg of lamb. I'll get the boneless roast and I'll chop it up, and using a cleaver is so much easier than your regular knife. Okay, so we've got our steak chopped up right here. Get my hands a quick rinse. I'm done with our cleaver. And then we are going to give it just a little bit of garlic juice. So none of the garlic kernels on here, we'll toast those up, but a little bit of that juice that the garlic sits in, it's got a nice little flavor to it. Well, I got kernels anyways, but that's okay. We're gonna toast it up, but I wanted more of that juice in there to really give it a nice garlic flavor. More garlic salt to give it some more flavor. We're gonna use a little bit of black pepper. And we'll, nice little coating. And I'm just gonna put some thyme leaves over this. They'll infuse in the butter, but we're gonna just sprinkle them on top of the steak as well because they'll add just a nice little flavor. And I think I have a few more. Got them from my garden this morning. Okay, and the rest is gonna go in our lovely salad dressing, but then a couple of these leaves in here will just add a lovely flavor. Now, I'm gonna really coat up our meat with our garlic juice, garlic, salt, pepper, and that fresh thyme. Get a little bit more of those leaves out. Now we're just gonna let it sit for a minute and really soak in that garlicky flavor while we prep up the rest of our salad. Okay, we'll put these over here. We'll heat them up. You don't want to cook them until the very end because if you cook them too soon, then they sit and get cold and you want them to be nice and fresh. Okay, so I've got two kind of heads of romaine here. We're gonna chop these up and we'll add them into the base for our salad. Romaine is one of our, I guess, everyone in the family's favorite lettuce. And it's funny, my girls like the green leafy parts, but my boys like the crunchy end parts. My husband would have iceberg lettuce if he could, but I was like, oh, we gotta have something other than iceberg. There's nothing flavorful about iceberg. It's a good crunch, but it has no flavor. Okay, let's add. We've got our 2 heads in here. Spread it around. I'm gonna rip up some of these big ones. So we've got our base for our salad. And then we're gonna add in, I've got 2 baby cucumbers, which are actually more like medium-sized cucumbers. They were like the biggest ones in the bag. So we're gonna quarter them, or have them not, well, we'll quarter this one. This one's pretty big. And then we're gonna just do a nice kind of thinner slice on it. This is gonna give you a nice little fresh happiness in your salad. There we go. We're gonna add these in as well. Kind of put it over the top. And this will be just nice. I always feel like I love steak salads. I'm a person who I absolutely love salads. When I was like younger, I used to eat salads for like all of my meals. My sister used to always joke, she's like, you eat like 3 salads and 10 desserts in a day. And I'm like, yep, that's true. Now I've been trying to cut back on desserts because my metabolism of my youth did not follow me after my third baby. I always tell Evie, I'm like, you broke me, Evie. And she did. I had a liver condition with Evie while I was pregnant, brought on just by pregnancy. And it's like surprising how much that can impact you. I was essentially allergic to having babies and still had them, love them. You know, I come from a big family, so I always wanted a big family. And hence we've got our little mini army of 5 here. And some days they're great and some days they're whew. Okay, we're gonna add in some of our sweet peppers. We added in our tiki tomatoes, which are a really sweet, robust tomato that have a nice kind of like orange and purple skin on them. They add a nice little pop of color, which I always love. I find with the kids, if I make the salad really pretty, they're more likely to eat it than if it's just a plain Jane. So we'll add those colors. I think we'll add 1 more sweet pepper in. And then we're gonna make our salad dressing. And we'll start cooking up our steak, and then we'll make our citrus salad. And our cookies should be coming out soon. Okay, we're just gonna make a simple kind of creamy balsamic vinegar for our salad today. So we are going to use some olive oil. We're gonna bring it up to about, that way we do equal parts olive oil, equal parts vinegar. And I'm gonna use balsamic vinegar for this. Splashed a little over. And then we're gonna add in, well, we'll do that right when we come back. Let's go grab our cookies out of the oven. These are our lemon doodles. They are nice and ready. You grab a trivet for these. Okay. Oh, look at those beautiful cookies. You can see that nice crispy lemon sugar on it. They're looking gorgeous. I'm gonna put them over here. Now the trick is with the lemon doodles, just like with snickerdoodles, you can't eat them as soon as they get out of the oven. They need to sit for about 3 to 4 minutes until they've firmed up, otherwise they'll just fall apart. But look at the lemon doodles. We've got the lemon sugar on it. You can see the bits of it. So it's just kind of like a snickerdoodle, but you use, instead of cinnamon and vanilla, it's lemon juice and lemon zest. And they are a perfect kind of summertime treat. They just have a nice little bright, happy taste to them. So they're gonna be lovely with our steak salad tonight, or today for lunch. Okay, I've got my balsamic, I got my oil. We're gonna add in a little bit of lemon juice. Just squeezing my other half here. And then we're gonna add in a little bit of heavy cream. This is gonna make it nice and creamy. You could also do mayo to make it creamy. This is gonna be a slightly lighter base to it, but it will be scrumptious. And now we're gonna add in some spices. So I'm gonna first do my garlic salt. We want about a teaspoon in here to give it a nice salty flavor. And then we're gonna add in some black pepper. I would like to do a half a teaspoon, not too strong because I feel like pepper is something you really taste. And then we are going to chop up our garden herbs here. And we've got thyme, oregano, and basil and parsley in here. So what I'm just gonna do is I'm just gonna pull off these things because these stalks won't be very good in it. Just leave the leaves on there, and then we'll give a quick mince, and then we're gonna add them into our dressing. And then I'm gonna start getting our pan warmed up for our steak so that we can cook that up. Here we go. And I'm using actually 2 types of oregano. I've got Greek oregano and then just our plain oregano. And you know what? I've never actually sat down to taste the difference between the two. I have multiple plants and I just pick from both. So I'm gonna have to do a taste test and figure out what's exactly the difference between them. You know, it's not like, you know, I feel like purple basil and basil, you can tell a difference through because the purple basil is more muted with a bit of sweeter texture to it Same with like Thai basil, has a bit more spice kick to it. But I've never actually sat down and tasted the difference between regular oregano and Greek oregano. Okay, let's give this a nice, really mince it up. The more cuts that you make on the herbs, the more flavors they're gonna infuse into this dressing. And you also want them to be smaller so you're not putting out kind of big chunks in our dressing. There we go. So we're gonna go over a couple more. There was a couple big leaves there. And this is just gonna give you a nice little herby, fresh kind of garden herb taste to our dressing, which will be perfect on the steak, I feel. I was deciding, I was like thinking about maybe doing a chimichurri sauce with the steak, but I opted for our homemade dressing. We're gonna shake it up. And now if you use mayo instead of cream, you'll have a much thicker dressing, but this gives you a creamy but not over thick one. So it'll pour nicely over our salad. But you can see we've got a nice, lovely balsamic vinaigrette that will pour over our salad when we're ready. Okay, well, let's get some butter and oil heating up with a little bit of garlic. Now I'm doing a little half and half of both because I don't like to use all butter because I feel like all butter, when you get it high, like the milk solids like to burn. So I do half and half, and it kind of prevents the milk solids from burning or scorching when you're doing a high heat. And then we're gonna add in about a tablespoon or so of olive oil. We'll let that melt up. We'll add in our garlic, we'll crisp that up for a second, and then we'll infuse it, or I'll put our steak in there. I'm gonna give my knife a quick rinse. And we're gonna make our little citrus salad here while our thing is heating up. Let me grab another little knife, the small bowl. So I've got some golden kiwis, green kiwis, just a random assortment of citrus or fruits I grabbed out of my fridge today. So we're gonna add these in here and have a nice fresh salad to go with. So let's start with our grapefruit. I'm gonna kind of cut the grapefruit off. It's funny, when I'm normally eating grapefruit, I just peel it like an orange. And apparently I've been told that that is really different, that most people don't eat grapefruits that way, but that's just the way I've always eaten it. Now in a salad, I find peeling it like an orange doesn't work as well because you want to try to get off as much of that white rind as possible so it can soak up the flavors, because we're going to make a honey lemon kind of dressing for this. So we'll just cut this up and then we're going to add it into our salad. Take out any big seeds. And there we go. And just kind of cube it up as much as possible to get nice little bite-sized pieces. And it has a nice, I will say, the grapefruit adds a nice, like, slightly tartar flavor to this, which will go great with the honey lemon dressing that we're gonna put on it. We're gonna add in some clementines. Or cuties. These are really sweet, so they'll go well with it. I feel like when you're gonna do any type of glaze with a fresh fruit, you could always eat the fruit salad by itself, but I find when you kind of meld them all together, a nice little honey and lemon mixed together, poured over it, just creates a lovely like sweetness that brings all the flavors together. And if you like mint, you could throw in a little bit of diced up mint with it, and that's really delicious. But I have a couple in my family that have strong aversions to mint. And I'm like, oh, it's so lovely. Okay, we've got our clementines, and then I have an orange here. We'll add up as well. And then we're gonna do our golden kiwis, which if you've never seen a golden kiwi before, they're like golden yellow inside, and they're slightly sweeter than a traditional kiwi. It was only like a couple years ago that I'd had my first golden kiwi. I'd never seen one before. And you can get them at Costco, and they're actually like, they're pretty delicious. We've got our orange. And then let me give our butter is now pretty much melted here, so we're gonna take a quick pause. We're gonna slide this around. Now, before we add in our steak, we want our garlic to kind of crisp up for about 30 seconds to a minute. I'll grab a spoon here. And we're gonna put in about a teaspoon. This will give you a nice garlicky flavor. We did already infuse our steak bits with some garlic, but we're gonna want these to kind of crisp up and enhance that butter in there. There we go. So we're gonna let those kind of infuse for a second, and then I'm gonna turn my heat up just even higher. But you don't wanna try to infuse them when it's super hot, otherwise they will get, they'll burn really fast. So I'm gonna let them kind of bubble in there for a second, and then we'll add in here. So this is my golden kiwi. If you look at it, its skin is really smooth compared to the green kiwi, which has got a really fuzzy skin, and the inside is yellow. But it's just, it tastes it's like a sweeter kiwi. Not as quite as that zing that it has, but delicious nonetheless. And I think it's a little bit easier to peel. I just go with my, like a paring knife, and I just peel that skin all off. I try to get it all as much in one.
You have a comment that someone picked up the cutting board set.
Oh, I'm glad. I hope you like them. Those are great, a great set of cutting boards that I have. I use them whenever I'm at my parents' cooking in their outdoor kitchen. I absolutely love them because I've got my OG cutting boards that I've had forever, like 20 years, and you just can't find them anymore. But I really like the ones that I have. And so those are the closest to it, and they're great. I'm actually thinking about buying a set to have at my house here because I'm like always trying, sometimes I need more cutting boards, and I like to use certain cutting boards for certain things. Like my meat cutting boards, I like them to have a ridge on it, which that cutting board set does. But if you guys are interested in it, for those who, here, I have a link to my Amazon storefront on my profile page where I try to put all of the cooking stuff that I use there. So if you're interested in any of the pans that I use, or my cutting boards, or knives, or utensils, I have it all in there for you guys to check out. I do make a small commission off of it, but really it's about like helping you guys figure out what you guys want to use in your kitchen. And these are just my reviews on how much I like them. But here we've got our steak in here. We're gonna do it in half batches because again, you don't want your steak to sweat out. You wanna keep it nice and hot, and you want it to kind of crisp up. So, there we go. I've got mine on about an 8 out of 10 over here, and we're gonna let it crisp up nicely. But look at this beautiful golden kiwi. It's so pretty. I always find they're just a fun little pretty pop of yellow in a fruit dish. Let's get this one going. That way we'll have everything prepped and ready.
You have a question? What kind of steak?
That is New York strips. So I cut off the fat strip on them since we're doing a quick sear in the pan, and that fat won't be good. But I feel like New York strips are great. They're really good at tender, and they cook up well if you want to fry them up. like this, do a quick high saute on them. So, I will say, if you're gonna do for a steak salad, you can't really go with some of the like leaner, cheaper cuts with it. It just doesn't work as well. So ribeyes work, New York strips, and then sirloins, of course. But you can't go with a mock steak or a tender cut steak. Those just don't crisp up well. We've got our green kiwi going in, the OG kiwi. And then we're gonna make a nice little honey lemon glaze to go over it. It'll be nice and fresh.
You have a question? Have you ever had a tomahawk steak?
I have had a tomahawk steak. They're delicious and expensive. I will say, I love them when you go to a steakhouse. It's kind of hard to justify. I could not just buy a tomahawk steak for myself and my husband, my kids. There would be a mutiny in this household. My kids love steak. But I'm not gonna buy like 8 to 9 steaks. We're gonna flip these over, and these are just gonna cook for just a smidge a bit of time on the other side. Again, you wanna take them out while they're still got pink in the middle so that they will continue cooking once you remove them. And if you wait until you cook them all the way through, then you're gonna have a really tough and chewy meat. And we like our steaks about a medium rare in this house. So we'll just do a really quick sear on this side. Then I'm gonna put my second batch in.
You have a question? What type of seasoning on the steak?
This was really simple. We just used garlic salt, pepper, garlic juice with a couple little kernels in it, and then some fresh thyme from my garden. So really simple on it. I feel like steak is one of those things that you don't need to go more. Less is more with steak. Okay. We're gonna take these out, and this whole batch, we're gonna add them onto our steak salad, or onto our salad here. And again, we want to just cook them until they're still pink in the middle and not all the way through, so that they'll remain nice and tender. And then we're gonna get our next batch going. And then we'll make our glaze, and we will be ready to serve up here. So now you see I've got my oil nice and hot, and this is my oil and butter mixture here, which I find if you do just butter, it tends to burn. So this gives you that nice butter flavor, but it kind of helps prevent it from burning the milk solids from scorching at a high heat. There we go. And again, you don't want to overcrowd your pan when you're doing it, so I always cook them in batches, because if you put all of your meat in at one time, what is going to happen is your meat's going to seize, which means the juices are going to come out because the pan has dropped the temperature pretty fast because the meat cools it down. And instead of getting a crispy sear on your steak, what's going to happen is you're going to get, it's going to just be brown, no nice crisp on it, and all the juices will come out. Okay, while those are cooking up, let's make up our lemon glaze, our honey lemon glaze. So this is the other lemon that we zested for our thing. So we're just going to use a little bit of this lemon juice in here. I'm going to squeeze it in. There we go. And then we're going to add in about a teaspoon of honey, teaspoon and a half. I'm going to go rinse this. I think this is my garlic spoon. And then we're going to give this just a nice mix up. And essentially you just want that honey to dilute into that lemon so that it's nice and runny. And then we'll just pour this over our fruit, and that's going to give it a nice kind of sweet and lovely flavor without being overpowering, and that lemon gives it a little zing, a tangy zing. So there we go. And now we're just gonna drizzle this over our fruit, and we're gonna give it a nice stir. And this is kind of a nice kind of fresh citrus salad. This gives it a little bit of the honey and the lemon, just gives it a nice little extra something. A little bit more than just a fruit salad. Okay. Now these are ready to flip. You can tell, you can see I'm starting to see the brown edges pop through. So look, we've got these nice quick sears on it. We're gonna flip them, and then we will plate up our salad. Okay. Get these all flipped over. And the second side, literally 30 seconds. Don't overcook the second side. Don't do it nearly as long as the first. Otherwise, you're gonna overcook your steak. And I said you're gonna wanna take it out, and you just simply want a quick browning there. And then we're gonna just take this out. We're gonna add it on. There we go. So we've got our beautiful New York strip steak salad here. Look at this. Got our little army here. And this is just 2 big steaks that are perfect for it. Okay, well, let's plate up our lunch today. Get my salad dressing a good shaky shake. And get a tongs. Okay, so let's start with our salad. We've got our base of it. We've got our tomatoes. Get our cucumbers things. Now I'm gonna put a couple strips of our steak over the top. This is our New York strip that we marinated in kind of like a garlic butter with pepper and garlic salt. This is our homemade creamy balsamic vinaigrette made with herbs from our garden. We have thyme, oregano, basil, and parsley, as well as balsamic vinegar and oil and a little bit of cream. Then we have our beautiful citrus salad with a honey lemon kind of dressing over it, but it'll be just really bright and happy and delicious. And then, of course, for dessert, we've got our lemon doodles. Look at this nice golden color on the bottom, the crispy lemon sugar on the top for a just delicious, light, but easy lunch. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I try to do live cooking shows every single day, show you what we're making for our family, and hopefully teach you guys something along the way. Again, we do upload all of our videos to the link on our page. So if you ever want to recreate any of our recipes at home, you can just go to that link and search for the title of what we cooked for, and you can recreate these dishes at home. Also, we have our Amazon storefront, so if you saw any cooking gadgets that you were interested in, I've been slowly adding everything into that, my storefront there. That link is on my profile page as well. But again, thank you.